Hey everyone, have you ever really stopped to think about the magic that happens behind the scenes to get a product into your hands? I mean, all the stuff we take for granted. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on that hidden architecture, the strategic backbone that makes it all possible.
And it all starts with a question you've probably asked yourself. Why is it that the headphones you ordered yesterday showed up this morning, but the book you ordered last week is still 2 days away? It's not just about a fast delivery truck, I can tell you that. The real answer is buried deep inside a company's DNA.
You see, it all comes down to a company's strategic infrastructure. Think of it as this invisible system that basically determines what a brand can realistically promise you, the customer. And that promise, whether it's super fast delivery or a super low price, is built on 3 key pillars: capacity, location, and layout. Let's break down how they all fit together.
Okay, so first things first, we have to look at the big picture. Before a company does anything else, before they build a factory or hire a single person, they have to answer the biggest question of all. How much stuff can we actually make or do? This is all about planning your capacity.
Now, capacity isn't just some boring number on a spreadsheet. It's the absolute ceiling on a brand's growth. It dictates everything. If your capacity is too low, you're going to have frustrated customers and lost sales. But if it's too high, you're just burning cash on empty warehouses and machines that are sitting idle. It is a really delicate balancing act.
And to get that balance right, you have to know the difference between theory and reality. So on one hand, you have design capacity. This is the dream scenario, right? It's the maximum you could possibly produce if everything went perfectly. No mistakes, no machine breakdowns, nobody even stops for coffee. But then, there's the real world, and that's effective capacity. This is the number that accounts for all the messy stuff: maintenance, employee breaks, the occasional mistake, and that's the number that really matters.
So how do companies actually plan to grow? Well, they usually take one of 3 paths. There's the leading strategy, which is pretty aggressive. You build the giant factory before the demand is even there. Super risky, right? But you'll never be caught off guard. Then there's the following strategy, which is way more conservative. You wait until you're totally slammed with orders before you expand. Safer with your money, but you risk losing customers to the competition. And finally, you've got tracking, which is kind of the middle-of-the-road approach, adding a little bit of capacity at a time.
Okay, so once a company has a handle on how much it can make, the next logical step is to figure out where to make it. So now we're zooming in from this big abstract idea of capacity to an actual pin on a map.
And let me tell you, choosing a location is this huge balancing act. You've got things you can control, like being close to your customers or having access to good materials. But then you've got all these wild cards, the uncontrollable stuff, like government regulations or even what the weather is like. The perfect spot, the sweet spot, is where you find the best possible harmony between those 2 lists.
And this isn't about throwing a dart at a map. Oh no. Companies use some pretty sophisticated tools to make this call. They use things like the factor rating method, where they literally score the pros and cons of different places, or the center of gravity model, which uses math to find the geographic point that minimizes shipping costs. It's a decision that's all about the data.
All right, let's zoom in one last time. We've gone from the big picture to the city map, and now we're going right down to the building's blueprint. We're at the ground level, talking about facility layout. This is all about designing the flow of people and materials inside the building to be as slick and efficient as possible. And there are basically 5 main ways to set things up. You've got the product layout. That's your classic Ford-style assembly line. A process layout is what you'd see in a custom workshop where all the similar tools are grouped together. For huge projects, like building a ship, you use a fixed position layout, where the product stays put and the workers move around it. Then there are cellular layouts, which are like mini assembly lines for specific families of parts. And of course, lots of places use a hybrid, a combination of these. Each layout is chosen for a very specific reason.
The whole science behind this is often called systematic layout planning, or SLP, and it was pioneered by a guy named Richard Muther. So what was his big idea? It's actually really simple. The goal is to reduce the distance everything and everyone has to travel, because less movement means less wasted time, which means more productivity. It just makes sense. But what happens when that beautifully planned, super efficient flow just stops flowing? Yeah, even the best systems hit a snag. And that's when we have to talk about fixing the thing that gives managers nightmares: the bottleneck.
The best way to picture a bottleneck is to think of a funnel. It's that one single point in your whole system where work just piles up. It's getting choked because stuff is arriving way faster than that one station can handle it. The crazy part is, every other part of the system could be running flawlessly, but the entire operation is being held hostage by its single slowest part.
And make no mistake, a bottleneck isn't just some internal problem for the operations team, it's a total marketing disaster. Think about it. A choked process means delays. Delays mean you're breaking your promises to customers. And when that happens, you lose their trust. And once you lose trust, you have to spend a fortune on marketing just to try and win them back. The big takeaway here, an operational failure is always a brand failure.
Luckily, this isn't a hopeless situation. Managers have a whole toolkit for fighting back. There's the theory of constraints, which is all about identifying that one single bottleneck and throwing every resource you have at fixing it. Then you've got things like root cause analysis, which helps you dig past the symptoms to figure out why the heck this is happening in the first place. These are structured, powerful ways to get that flow back on track.
So let's step back for a second and tie all three of these massive ideas, capacity, location, and layout, all together. Let's build the final picture.
And here's the most important thing to remember. These aren't three separate decisions you make in a vacuum. No way. They are a deeply connected, integrated system. The capacity you plan for is going to influence the kind of location you need, and the location you end up choosing will limit the layout designs you can even consider. When you get all three working in perfect harmony, that's when you've built a powerful, solid foundation for the entire business.
So, I'll leave you with this. The next time you're shopping online and you see that dreaded out-of-stock message, or your package is delayed again, just ask yourself, which part of this strategic backbone is failing? Is it a capacity problem, a location issue, or is there a bottleneck in the layout? Pretty cool, right? You now have the tools to diagnose it yourself. Thanks for tuning in.